Hello, and welcome to ShamrockED, conversations with the Berrien Springs Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Thomas Bruce. This episode will highlight our School Bus Safety Week and the district's commitment to ensuring the safety of every student every day on our school buses. Today's guests include Transportation Director John Legus and driver Erik Nieman. And now, here is Berrien Springs Public School Superintendent, Dr. Thomas Bruce.
So welcome to our, what is this, our fourth podcast on ShamrockED. Super excited to be here. As we speak with a couple people today, Mr. John Legus, Director of Transportation, and Mr. Erik Nieman, Transportation Driver and Union Leader, really, right? You do a little bit of everything.
With the association, yes.
Yeah, great. All right, so I'm going to start with just introductions. Mr. Legus, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your past?
Absolutely. So I have been in the school transportation industry since 1996, about 28 years there, a little bit of time in law enforcement, and I've gone from driver to director of transportation, and the position I've held since different schools since 2009.
All right. And you've worked with some larger districts. You've worked with some smaller districts. You've been in-state, out-of-state, right?
I have, yeah, between Michigan and Indiana. So I've been in different districts, and obviously from a fleet size of what we currently have right now, about 21 staff members to 300 staff members in a previous position.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for being
You're
here.
welcome.
And Mr. Nieman, I always say Nieman. Am I saying that right?
It is.
Okay,
That's
good.
correct.
That would be terrible to screw up your name on the podcast so we go public and I'm saying it wrong.
It's all good. We roll with it.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I acquired my license in 1994. Been driving school bus. I did take a sabbatical and worked retail for about 3 years. Not my forte. I went right back to the school bus. I've been a trainer since 1999 for new school bus drivers. And I'm here at Berrien and love it.
All right. And I'm under the impression that we purchased a new CTE trailer for driving squad cars and fire trucks. And I believe we added a little piece to that for bus drivers. You guys aware of that?
We did. Yeah. So actually for our school startup meeting, we had the simulator here. Fire department brought it out, and we had drivers go in and they simulated, and they had some fun. Or not so fun, I should say, in some cases. But it was a good experience for them because, it keeps us alert. And there's different challenges that we face out there, and it brought those challenges to the forefront. So it was a topic that we discussed as well afterwards, and we learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Any key points or key takeaways you guys found as different drivers accessed that program or used it?
Yeah, there was, the majority of people felt like it was a good thing. You're talking about they threw ice in at us at some points. And I'll say for myself, as I got adjusted to that ice, unfortunately, I crashed my bus, but we were all okay.
Fortunately, it was free.
It was free.
That time. That's good. A little ice road trucker action there.
Yes.
Huh? All right. So I'm going to start with a general question. As we kick off National Bus Safety Week, can you share why this week is important to our district and how it aligns to our commitment to student safety in Berrien Springs?
For us, it brings back the focus to the safety of our babies. And with that being said, safety is our drive. That's why we're here. And that during this time, we get to educate people of our school bus laws. This also lets us everyone know of our efforts and challenges we face in the school transportation industry. We are here to transport our babies safely so they can grow and rise up in our communities. And safety, again, going back to it, that's what we do.
And that's largely in alignment with a lot of things I say is we're here to develop great young ladies and young men, right?
Absolutely.
And starts at that baby level. We got to get them to school safely first before we can raise them up as young people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the school bus is the safest mode of transportation on the road.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yes. Hey, Mr. Nieman, early this school year, I was able to come by when all the drivers were here in our new facility. Right across from Casey's, by the way. I wonder if we get a break on drinks over there.
We should. We'll have to check into
that. But, I got to sit with some of the drivers as they talked about how it's important to make sure our kids get off the bus to go to school, to go to their day, and how they make sure the kids are in a good mood. They make sure they smile. Where do you think that comes from? What's that about?
I pride myself in making sure I start the morning off by saying good morning to each and every one of them. Sometimes you have to just throw out a group good morning because there's 3 or 4 of them. But as they're getting off at the school, again, have a good day.
Yeah.
They're got a frown on their face. It's like, hey, turn around, look at me for a minute, smile. Yeah. And then it just sets that mood for their day.
Yeah, I was so appreciative to hear you guys. And it was all the drivers were talking about, different groups. I sat in a couple different groups and it was the same throughout. So a lot of appreciation for that. Thank you for all you guys do.
Absolutely.
To Mr. Nieman, as a driver, what are some of the most important safety practices you follow each day to ensure safety for the students?
Before each and every driver pulls out of the lot, they do a thorough inspection of the school bus, both inside and out. Every light is checked. Every seat is checked. Every tire and lug nut. All 5 of the emergency exits. All 7 of the mirrors. A thorough inspection every time before they pull out of this lot.
So even in the mornings, if you're on the early route for high school or middle school and it's snowing and blowing and Dr. Bruce hasn't called school, you still got to go out there and do that?
10 minutes to 6, you're out there walking around in that weather.
It's like a pre-flight safety check, isn't it?
Absolutely. And every one of us do it for that reason.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I don't think a lot of people know that. How do you build relationships with students? We talked about this a little bit a minute ago, but a lot of people don't understand. Like, here's what I see. I see our students like in the grocery store, their parents, or when I'm in the grocery store with my kids, right? And you're controlling 2 students or 2 of your kids or 3 of your kids. John, what do you have? 4 kids?
I have 5.
5.
Yes.
Yikes, right? Like, but it's different when you're running a classroom. It's even very much more different when you're running like a gym class. You guys are in a bus going down the road with how many kids on a bus, Eric?
Very easily close to 60.
60 kids.
Very easily.
And they got to stay safe. So how do you get them to like mind, like for their own safety to stay in a seat or stay out of the aisle or whatever it may be?
Well, instead of just saying scoot in, turn around, sit down, you try to throw out the explanation as to why. Those seats are designed for a specific reason, to keep them safe. And the only way they're safe is if they're sitting in them properly. And once you explain that, most everybody understands it and is more respectable to you.
Yeah, because we don't have safety belts on buses, correct?
We do not.
I mean, last time I rode a bus was probably in the 70s, so we barely had seats. I think they probably were half attached to the floor, right?
The little metal bars that used to be at the top of the seats.
Metal frame. Hit the bridge of your nose on when they hit the brakes, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are some of the more common challenges you face on the road?
Just like everywhere else, distracted driving. I mean, for the most part, you can watch them pass the bus and you can see that they've got their phone out.
Yeah.
So
my favorite thing is at a 4-way stop and I'm stopped. I'm letting the other traffic go by and the guy goes driving by looking down at his phone like, wow, he's driving hands-free, brain-free right now.
You'd be surprised what you can see when you're in that school bus driver's seat.
I bet. Mr. Legus, can you walk us through the key safety measures that have been put in place for school transportation? I know over the last 3 years, I've been very involved with Berrien Springs budget, and so have you. What are some of the things that you've added to transportation or to the buses or even software-wise that have helped us?
That's a huge question, and first and foremost, I am very, very thankful. It's a little emotional here because the support from our school board to our administration to this department is phenomenal and not something that's seen in other districts. And so I'm thankful for that, because with that being said, over the years, the last 3 years, we've gone through and we've upgraded our buses. We've added crossing arms. Those crossing arms, they extend out 6 feet. You know, we train our kids to go 10 feet, but kids are kids. It keeps the kids that are crossing away from that front corner of the bus. And even when they're extended, even though the title is crossing arm, it is also keeping the children that are getting off the bus not crossing the road safe, because it discourages them from getting near that right front corner, which can be a harder area for us to see. So we've added that to our entire fleet. We upgraded all of our overhead warning lights. So the buses have LED lights all the way around them. And so they're strobing too. You can't miss our buses when they're coming down the road. We have to give 200 feet notice. Well, those lights shine for well over 1,000 feet down the road. They're bright. They stand out. The new radios that we have installed this year and throughout the district, they have nationwide coverage. With that being said, there's very few dead spots, and if our buses are traveling out, because we can up to about 150 miles, we travel out on trips, maybe to Six Flags. We still have a signal. We can still communicate with our driver in case of an emergency. That's been a huge plus for us this year. Those are new. They're fairly new to the industry too. There's only about 20,000 out there across the country, and you figure there's about 500,000 of us in the industry.
We do like to be on the cutting edge. So
we do,
right?
Yes, yeah. We have fully illuminated stop arms and fully illuminated school bus signs. So these signs on the stop arms, we have the typical flashing lights that go back and forth, but our lights strobe. They're LED strobing, and the entire sign lights up and says stop. Then on top of the bus, we have our school bus signs. And so that destination sign is actually what they call it. It lights up and it says school bus. These are great because you can clearly see what is coming down the road. It is a school bus. It's not a dump truck. Sometimes dump trucks look similar, especially in the dark, especially with their lights sometimes flashing the same. No, this says school bus. Those are, unfortunately, they came after a tragedy that happened back in 2018, but they're there. We've got them on our fleet, and they've just had a tremendous impact. And I know that I hear from drivers, and even Mr. Nieman here, he's told me that, he's had other drivers from other districts approach him about this because it's noticeable. It's something for our industry that's a great addition. We have GPS on our buses. In case of an emergency, we're able to locate them. We're able to stay efficient, with fuel, things like that. That's been a wonderful addition here in the last couple of years. And then we also have routing software, which has kept us efficient. And most importantly, it's kept us safe as we can be out there because we can put our routes together quickly, efficiently, and safely. Our parent app, which, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but we have a parent app that we've introduced this year. We in everything that we do here, we exceed the state and federal requirements. All this equipment that I just discussed, it's not required by the state or federal government, but it is important to us, and we've added it here. Our buses, our vans, whatever vehicles we're driving, they get inspected every day. Every time a driver goes out, if it's been longer than an hour, they re-inspect their vehicle and they go through it and they take a look, make sure it's safe. Our mechanics, they will not allow a bus to go out if it's not safe, a van to go out if it's not safe. And then the state police get involved. They come in and they do their inspections. These are full inspections. So we make sure
it truly
we do everything.
Is the safest transportation.
It sure is. A lot of hands.
What kind of training? We talked about this a little bit earlier. What kind of training our bus drivers go through? And we talked about the simulator we have. What's the normal training? I know we have one person that just got their license to drive, and I think we have a new driver that's getting their license to drive.
We do.
I remember my parents live out west in Arizona, and quite a few retirees live there, obviously, and a lot of them like to take bus driving jobs. It's part-time, but it pays well. They're with kids again, and they really enjoy those jobs. So what does that take to be a driver?
Yeah, first and foremost starts with the interview process. And when we interview, it's not the typical questions. And of course, we're legal with what we ask and the discussions we get into, but we want to get to know the person before they go out there. Because here's the thing, they're going to be out there alone with our kids. They're going to affect our kids' lives from the morning when they get on the bus to the afternoon when they get off the bus. So we want to make sure we have the perfect person out there. They have to go through, and on their own, they have to get their own certification on their CDL. It's a permit, basically. Once they get that permit, they're able to come in here and work with our trainer. And I have to give a big kudos to Erik, and I've told him this before. In all my years of working in industry, he is the best trainer I've ever worked with. So that they go out there with him, hands-on, and they learn everything they need to know. And he reaches out and he teaches them by each individual. It's because everybody's different, right? And everybody learns differently, and he does a great job of that. So they have to go out there. They go out that we have at least 40 to 50 hours of hands-on training with our new drivers. They go out with our seasoned drivers. They learn from our seasoned drivers, and they learn a great deal. We have continuous professional developments. We also, anytime anything happens in the national school bus industry or across the nation, I should say, good or bad, we take those stories. We have monthly professional developments. We sit down and we go over them, and we talk about, how this could have been handled better, what could have been done differently, and we discuss that. And our drivers are real open about that.
I would
And
imagine that probably came from your police background. That's something I know the police do quite a bit. When something happens in the community, everybody dissects it and goes through it because that's great training. It's real world training.
absolutely,
Mm.
we're real because we don't want our people freezing up in the moment. We want them to be as prepared as they can be.
Right.
Got a good group of people out there.
Outstanding. What are some of the ways that parents can help with bus safety or transportation safety?
I would definitely say support the driver, get to know your driver, and simple things like telling your kids they need to stay seated properly, which means back to back, bottom to bottom, and quiet noise levels, and awareness of what is going on. Please make sure your kids are aware of what is going on around the bus when they're at the stop and they're on the roadway, because there's a lot going on with traffic, and as Mr. Nieman had touched on earlier, distracted driving.
Right.
So when our kids are out there, it is so important if they're crossing, they wait for the driver's signal and they have that communication with the driver before they cross the roadway.
Mr. Nieman, let me bounce it over to you, because in the classroom, we as teachers or educators often we try to have a great relationship with the family, the parents, because they're the number one influencer on that student, right?
Absolutely.
Do you guys get that opportunity very often as a driver?
As all the drivers do at the beginning of the school year, we reach out to our parents to let them know where the bus stop location and times are. So right there before school even starts, we start that communication process with them.
Right.
So I'm a lucky driver. I have one of the school of choice routes. So I am one-on-one with my parents out there. I mean, 1 out of every 3 parents are right outside my door as they pull up to release their students.
And I would think that would be great. Like, that would help you do your job.
It does.
Right?
It does. And you can acknowledge and build that communication with them by just a nod of the head or good morning, something simple like that. And they're appreciative of it.
Yeah, great one. Thank you. For both of you, are there any technologies being used or considered to enhance bus safety that the community should be aware of? So it sounds like we've invested in quite a few things. We have lots of lights on our bus, lots of communication. We have the technology within the bus. What's out there right now that you guys are looking at and thinking, wow, that could be or should be really good for us in the future?
Well, there's more. I mean, we, through conferences, through magazines, or magazines aren't so common anymore, but through the World Wide Web, we get to see the latest and greatest in the school bus industry. We discuss these and we see if we need to implement them here. But I can say that what we're using right now, and touch on again, GPS and the routing software is a great help. The stop arm cameras, very important to us. Very important to our drive for safety. We can, if somebody doesn't stop for the bus, those red flashing lights, the stop arm extended, we watch for the kids. That's right there is the most important thing. We have to watch and see where the kids are at when a car is not stopping. We can go back later and get the license plate.
Yep.
The driver's focus remains on the kids. So we have that in place, and we will hold people accountable that don't stop for our school buses and reduce the safety for the kids.
So let me pause and make sure that everyone's clear on that. So as I'm driving to work in the morning and I see a bus come over the hill and the yellow lights are flashing, that's almost like yellow light at a intersection. Caution, they're going to stop. The red light's coming, right?
Correct.
So probably not speed up and get past it. Be aware, because the red lights are going to come on. As soon as those red lights come on, if I pass that bus, whether it's in an oncoming lane or behind the bus and pass it, that bus is taking a picture of my license plate. Is that accurate?
You were correct.
And then that goes straight to our police department.
Correct.
They follow up?
Correct. Our school resource officer, if it's outside of the village area or our township, it is going to go to the Berrien County Sheriff's Department, and they follow up and they investigate that. Yes.
And what I loved about what you said was the driver's not sitting there trying to look over their shoulder to figure out what the license plate was and write it down. They're only focused on the students getting on or off the bus at that point.
Absolutely.
Sure they're safe.
Absolutely.
That's a great piece of equipment. What's your favorite piece of safety equipment, Erik?
Hands down, with me being on the expressway on a regular basis, it's the new light up school bus.
Oh, really?
You can see it miles ahead.
Even fog and snow, rain,
it peers
all that.
through it. Like I shared, the yellow from that school bus shines through the fog better than the headlights do.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you guys please share a little bit more about the transportation app?
Absolutely. So the transportation app provides peace of mind, as I would say, for our families. It has bus stop information, bus arrival times. It'll give an approximate time of where the bus is at on the route, and let the family. It takes that, calculates it, and lets the family know that your bus is approximately this many minutes away, or arriving at this time. And it'll also let the families know that the bus did stop at the stop, and it has now proceeded on. So it doesn't give, for safety reasons, we don't have the map on, so it's not seeing, showing the entire route of the bus, but it does let our families know that the bus is on its way.
Right.
The bus has been there. And again, any pertinent information such as bus stop times for the families, or route times.
I can't even imagine how helpful that is for parents. I'm like on my way to piano lessons and then soccer, and then when are they going to be here? Well, 2.5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Everybody's busy.
Right away.
Yeah.
So, hey, I think we're almost at the end here, but I want to ask a question to both of you. One of the questions I get asked as superintendent quite a bit is, hey, so how many electric buses do you have? Well, what about the rear buses, the rear driven buses? What about the old buses? What about diesel? What about, so John, could you give me a little rundown of each one? And when you and I have talked about this before, you've talked about how I believe the rear drive buses were more for like longer trips. Electric bus, if I'm accurate, was more about maybe around town kind of thing, start and stop. And from Erik, I'd love to know if you've driven any of these, what's your favorite, So John, go ahead and give us a short synopsis of what are the different drive trains.
So we have the rear engine bus. We have not had one here before in Berrien Springs, but there are 3 of them arriving this year.
Right.
And so the engine's in the back, and there's just so many wonderful positive ways that I can look at this type of bus, but it does help provide comfort on longer trips. So if it was, let's say, go to Six Flags, this type of vehicle, the engine is behind us, the noise is behind us, and it helps, with those longer rides. On the local rides, with the engine being behind us, it keeps the kids from getting so worked up. The noise level inside just stays down lower, so the driver can hear things better. Anything that's going on, we can hear a conversation in the back of the bus. They provide some extra protection. Nowadays, people are rear-ending vehicles left and right, and it does provide some extra protection, some absorption if we were to get rear-ended in the back. Now, school buses are strong no matter what, but with the engine back there, it's not so easy for anything to get in the inside. So we have those. Those are arriving soon, and our trainer here gets one of them, and he will be training our staff on how to drive them. So,
right. And I imagine now are they the ones I've seen in the past? They have huge amounts of cargo space underneath. Is that accurate still?
They do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just like a charter bus. Because the way the axle sits, we're able to have the storage compartment go from one side of the bus to the other side of the bus. So football games, you can load all the equipment underneath, which is the safest way to go, because some of that equipment's heavy. If we were in an accident, it was to bounce around on the inside, so we could get hurt.
Yeah.
So we're able to actually put all this equipment down underneath.
Great.
Yep.
Great. What about the electrics? Everybody wants to know if we have electric buses yet.
So I think, that there is a great amount of potential with the electric buses, and we have come up with a plan here, and we're very confident of what we could do with them. It's just at this time, there are some infrastructure concerns. If we bring a bus like that here, we want to make sure it's running and it's going to be that it's going to run. And there's just some answers right now that we can't get. So at this time, we're
We'll let
holding
somebody
off on
else make those mistakes first then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We're open to it, but
Yeah.
We just want to be able to utilize it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And to be clear with everyone, when we refurbished this, the current transportation office, it used to be the car dealership and trailer dealership. We actually put infrastructure in the under the pavement in the parking lot out there, so we could charge buses or have awnings or do some other things. So we were thinking ahead a little bit when that stuff went down. Favorite bus to drive, Erik?
The one that's coming, the
Yeah.
rear engine transit, most definitely.
Yeah.
Increased visibility in the front by far. And again, noise level.
turning on that? What is the turning like with those?
Turning's a little more, how do I say, challenging than what some of our other transit styles are.
All right.
But once I get through everybody, they'll all be able to do it top notch.
Mhm.
Right on. Right on. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for
Mhm.
everything you do. And here we go with Bus Awareness Week and keeping everybody safe, right? And we've had a great start to the school year, and I wish the best of luck to you guys. And thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce.
Yes,
Right.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Shamrock Ed, Conversations with Our Superintendent. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Samsung, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or our Berrien Springs Public Schools YouTube channel. For more information on Berrien Springs Public Schools, visit homeoftheshamrocks.org or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions you would like to ask Superintendent Dr. Bruce, please email at contactus@homeoftheshamrocks.org. Thank you for joining us on Shamrock Ed. Together, we are shaping a brighter future for our students. Until next time, keep inspiring and stay connected with the Shamrock community. See you in the next conversation.